Hi, Paula. So thank you so much for being a part of this summit. Realign your thoughts for women wanting to exude confidence in every area of their life. So to get started, why don't we have you introduce yourself? So tell us who you are, what you do, and why you decided to take part in this summit.
Wonderful. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm Paula Mendoza, and I run two different companies. So one is called Possible Missions, and we are a procurement firm. We're a reseller with three different major suppliers. And then the other company is a project management company, Posmus Inc. We shorten it by saying PMI, but we provide all kinds of services from inventory management to kitting. And the reason I accepted this interview and being part of this group is that I think it's really important that some of us have been around a little bit, might share some of our thoughts and ideas on how we've arrived at where we are today, and maybe even talking about some of the challenges that may help some of the other ladies that are participating and think about it and hopefully leave something behind.
Great, great. So why don't we start off with what is confidence to you? How would you define it?
I think for me, confidence is really knowing that you can believe in someone, yourself. If you can count on someone, sometimes it's counting on yourself. If you're an entrepreneur, I think it's really knowing that you can do anything that you set your mind to, and I think that in itself is confidence. So I think really the thought of believing and counting on something or someone, always including yourself. I think that's where confidence, that's where it gets me.
And so following up to that, do you consider yourself to be a confident person and why?
I do. I've had my business out for 20 years. So I say I have a lot of confidence, but I think I built on that confidence. I think a lot of it was being raised by a very strong, independent mother. And I think that started me on with my foundation and on my journey. But I do think that with experience, with being out in the community, with having my own business, it has really strengthened my confidence as the years have progressed, because we learn a lot and we learn what we can do and some of the things that we just need to put behind us. But I think I'm a pretty confident person, but I always remember, right, that it's not just me, that I have a team behind me. And I think that's what also provides me the confidence that I have.
So confidence in yourself and your team.
Absolutely, in my team, and yes, in myself.
And let me ask, so you say you've been in the business. I'm so sorry. So Paula, you mentioned that you've been in business for over 20 years. What role does confidence play in your field of expertise?
Well, I tell you that my field of expertise is pretty complicated because we deal a lot in the research arena, the medical arena, and are in hospitals and clinics. And that's not my area of expertise. So I will tell you that's where your team comes in, right? So I have confidence in building a team that has that area of expertise, that gives me the confidence in them and what they do. And then, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I have to have that confidence in myself to know that one, I provided a good team for my customer or in my daily life, and making sure that we have done our research, we've done our homework, and in turn then exudes that confidence because we know we're ready to go, we know we're ready to provide. And again, it's really not just about me or one person, it's about the people you surround yourself with.
So what would you say really helps you to exude that confidence in your professional and in your personal life?
I said it earlier that I've been around, my business has been around about 20 years, and it's taken some time to get where we are. Once we realize, I mean, as entrepreneurs, when we start our companies, we feel like we have to do everything. We have to get everything right. We have to make sure that everything is in line and on task. Once we realize the important things in life, like family, how important family is. And I know that might seem like a no-brainer, but you have to stop and think about it. When you're working hard, when you are a woman and owning your own business, you have to work hard. So sometimes you have to take a step back and think about what are the important things in life. Okay, first, obviously family, you've got to make that a priority, whether it's in your business or your personal life. I try to also share that with my employees, that family is first, right? Whether it's them or us or me. And then also knowing that whatever happens today and tomorrow, I've also learned that if it's not a life or death situation, which most of the time it's not, it can wait till tomorrow. So we need to take a step back and have confidence that there's a tomorrow and it will get better, but you have to be able to step back, take a deep breath and say, oh, this is not how I saw it coming today, but guess what? It can be fixed and it can be fixed tomorrow. So I think that's part of the confidence level. I think is also being able to take a step back. What's important in your life? What's important in your business? And at the same time, how do we make it better? And if it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow.
I love that. So there's a tomorrow, confidence in knowing that there's a tomorrow. So would you be open to sharing an experience where you didn't feel good, or if and how you were able to push through that?
Sure. You know, when this situation, this challenge was brought before me, at the time, I thought it was the worst thing in the world. It was the worst possible place for me to be in. I was sharing in a leadership, I was in a leadership role in an organization, and the others that were in leadership roles were primarily men. And they just didn't want to have a woman running the organization. And so they actually tried to replace me. And it was a long-standing organization. And the reason I say that today, or back then, it was the worst experience of my life. I was pretty new in the community environment at the leadership role. I was much younger. But when I look at it now, it was such a lessons learned. I can look back on it now and say, I would have done this, I would have done that. This is how I would have approached that. And how dare them? But I think when I look back at it now, it was challenging. Sadly enough, it was, an older organization. And like I said before, they just could not see a woman leading this organization. How I got through it, after the trials and tribulations of why me? What am I going through? Why did I sign up for this? This is a voluntary role. I really took a step back and I reached out to my mentors. I reached out to those that did see value in my leadership, and I asked them for their support. And I said, here's what I've done, lined it out. Here's what we've accomplished. Here's what we're doing. Will you support me? And then asking my mentors to give me some feedback. What do I need to do? Do I need to continue? Is it something that I just check off and say, I'll do it better next time? But it was because of the support of those that knew what I was capable of, the mentors that said, absolutely not, don't give up. If it doesn't work out, then that's fine, but you gave it your all. So I look back at it now and know that I did give it my all and I prevailed. But I tell you what, it almost took me 2 years. It was such a devastating experience. It took me about 2 years to figure out that it was a lessons learned, and not to be saying, why me? Why me? How could it possibly? But to go, what did you learn from that experience? And how will it be different next time? And I tell you what, that experience, that has a lot to do with my confidence today, is learning from it and how will it be different next time?
Yeah, so learning from it and how will it be different next time? And what else I heard was reaching out, not being the lone wolf. Sometimes you just need to get support from others.
Absolutely. And I can tell you that person, there was one main person that really stood up for me. And every time I see that person in the community, it might be once every 2 years, I remind them how grateful I am that they had the strength and the support behind me to help me succeed.
So when that negative thinking starts to creep in and it does create that self-doubt, what do you do, or what do you say to yourself to realign your thoughts to regain your confidence?
I tell you what, as women, I think we beat ourselves up way too much. We've got a lot on our plate. There's a lot that we do on a daily basis. I often look at what I do and I look up and it's 10 o'clock and I'm thinking, wow, we've gotten all that done. I think that we beat ourselves up, and I think we shouldn't. I think the very first thing I would say is take a step back. One thing I learned, and as small as this might be, is taking deep breaths. Taking a step back and taking deep breaths and thinking, what have I accomplished this week? What was good about this morning or yesterday? No matter how small or how big, you've accomplished something, right? And so I think that's number one. That's how you figure out, okay, again, this too shall pass, right? There is a tomorrow. It will get better. And so I think not beating ourselves up is number one. And number two is just taking a minute and breathing. I go, my workout is power walking, and we have a 3-mile trail here in Houston. And if I call my husband and say, I'm leaving for lunch, I'm going to the park, he knows what kind of day I'm having. That's the day I need to put my earbuds in, put some music on, and just forget what's happening it's an hour. Give yourself an hour. But I think that's what we need to do, is just take a minute, put things in perspective, and then hit it full force when you get back.
Love that. So as a leader, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, when you work with someone who lacks confidence, how do you embolden them? How do you motivate them to feel empowered?
That's a tough one for me. And it's not tough because it's not something I want to do. I always want to empower others. I do serve as a mentor in a lot of roles. I think as a mentor with someone outside of your business, it's a little different. If it's outside the business, I have mentees that are in college that are already starting their businesses. And those are more, to me, relationships that you can build on when it's talking about more advice type of thing, right? When I'm looking at somebody within my company and I don't see that motivation or that confidence in self, but I know they're doing a great job. I mean, it's like they're just hitting it out of the park. I try to then instill and give them something and remind them, did you see what you did last week? That was fabulous. We have surveys that if they're customer service, the customer can send a survey in and say, oh, so-and-so did a great job. When we do that, we give them a little motivation and we give them a bonus card or something. I think those things instill confidence in those that maybe lack it. But then the other thing that I try to do is I try to give them projects that I know that they will succeed in, so that they can succeed, feel better, feel the confidence. And then I also try to get them to volunteer for projects that might be outside their comfort zone, but that they'll take them. And you know what? We all fail. I mean, it happens. I mean, okay. And if you do, learn from it. That's the most important thing. If you learn from your mistake, then okay, just don't let it happen again. Move on. What's next? Right? So I think that part is where I try to do better every day. And it's challenging because I think the issues are different with different people. It's not something just as a boilerplate. So a little more challenging for me, but I do the best. And I think that letting them know when and where they succeed, and ask them, okay, what's next on your plate? What can we do next to help you succeed?
Yeah, so giving them a little stretch, but also reminding them of their wins.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So for somebody who is struggling with confidence, what would be the 3 top actions that you would say they could start with in order to build confidence?
I think the one that I mentioned earlier is key. Take a step back. If you don't feel like you're confident enough, if you don't feel like you have what it takes to get something done, take that step back and put things in perspective. Again, look at the small wins. Look at what you've accomplished, whether it's your education. I got a bachelor's degree. Okay, great. That's huge for some people. Well, maybe it's, guess what? I got a great customer service review. That's good. That's great. Look at what you've accomplished. I think for me, if you're struggling, take a step back. Put things in perspective. I think with everything in the world we have going on right now, we can look at things and say, okay, I got this. Okay, what's next? Let me try something small and do that, and so that you can have those little wins. And those little wins, I think, will help you. I think the other is really steal some time away. take some time for yourself. And then whether it's like me, when I go to the park, I sometimes go straight after work, or like I said, I leave for lunch. Sometimes I need that 1 hour for me. Whatever it might be for you, take it and regroup. And it's also like the taking a step back. But we have to keep reminding ourselves that this too shall pass. There is a tomorrow. Take a deep breath and then start over again. I mean, that to me is just so key. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. You know, in a business, as women, as business owners, and especially if we're considered a small business, we're always expected to do more. We're always expected to be perfect. You know, we have to look. I used to think that if something went wrong in my business, it would crumble. If we made a mistake, if something didn't arrive on time, if we made a pricing error, that can put things in perspective, right? If it can be fixed, take a step back. How are we going to fix it? How are we going to learn from that? And then you know what? That's when you take the deep breath and go, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was, right? We just won't let it happen again. And guess what? I'm ready to go for that next one. So to me, it's all about putting things in perspective and taking a little bit of time to step back and figure it out, and figure out that it's probably not as big a deal as we thought it was for the most part. And how do we move on tomorrow?
Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, Paula. I really appreciate it. Before we end the interview, any final thoughts?
I would probably say I love talking to women that are starting their businesses. I love talking to women that have had businesses for years, right? And finding out what's made them tick, what gave them their confidence. And what I would like to just leave, and I think this is really key, is how much we need to count on mentors and relationships. You know, I often say, if you find someone that says, oh, I'm a self-made millionaire, or I'm a self-made success, they're probably fibbing just a little bit. Because I can tell you, we all need somebody. We all should have mentors, and we should all be able to reach out. And so leaving you with the thoughts that I think relationships are a key to success, and that with our network, put them in your Rolodex. You don't ever know when you're going to need somebody, or they reach out to you and say, that's where I met that person from. And those relationships can help with your success. Relationships are keys, your networking, your group. I think that's what helps us build our village, as they call it. It takes a village. But thank you for having me.
Yeah, indeed. It does take a village indeed. And you're so welcome. And I am always in gratitude when people share of themselves and of their time. So again, thank you so much. And I look forward to the great things that you'll continue to do.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.